YouTube side. How doing? Metayer Wagwan, as well as everybody watching on the, I guess, our page, voiceofthecaribbean.com, on the app as well. You guys know that we're an app. Make sure you download us and take us wherever you go in your app store, whether you have the Apple Store or Google Play. Welcome, welcome. I want to get right to business. I have some special guests that will be joining us throughout this special edition of the Suzette Speaks Show. I'm dedicating it to the legacy and the life of Coral Springs Vice Mayor Nancy Metayer Bowen. I am very heartbroken by the news, like most of you, when you first heard of the horrific tragedy and the circumstances surrounding her husband, allegedly. And again, we are going to bring some legal experts on today. We are going to bring some community leaders on today. And I really am grateful that, we're going to have a astute and informational discussion around this. I know there's a lot of emotions around this. People are very, very upset. The community has been rallying around her family. And again, I have maybe a personal stake because I knew Nancy personally. I've worked with her shoulder to shoulder on several political campaigns, and this pains me deeply. It really does. So I tried my best to gather some experts who are willing to, give us their perspectives on what happened. Of course, I could be talking today about, Trump firing his political ally, I guess, Pam Bondi as Attorney General. We'll pick that up. I wanted to also let you know next week I will not be in town. Shout out to the crew that's going to be covering the Jamaica Carnival. Yes. Voice of the Caribbean will be in the streets of Kingston, Jamaica, starting next week. Next week, Thursday, to be exact. A crew of us is going, including yours truly, to cover what's going on down there. But we'll revisit that. But for right now, we are with somber hearts talking about and paying homage to Nancy Metayer Bowen, who has been remembered as a bright light. And right now, I see my first guest is ready. Her name is Miss Sandy Boisseron. She is an assistant professor at St. Thomas University Law, also has her own firm. And I'm going to welcome her. She has done some work in the domestic violence area in the past. And I thought she would be a wonderful person to bring into this discussion today to make sense of what's happening. A lot of the discussion in the online space is making me very annoyed, very uncomfortable. And of course, Sandy, how are you? Let me make sure I can hear you. One second. Sandy. Can you speak for me? How are you, darling?
I'm doing good, Suzette. Thank you so much for the invite.
Of course, I'm grateful that you can, I know you're busy, Miss Law Professor, and working to help law students in St. Thomas in Miami. So for our listeners, just give us a little bit about yourself or just some of the thoughts you have initially when it comes to the tragic loss of life of Miss Nancy Metayer Bowen.
I've been an attorney for over 10 years working in the estates and trust area. So I work closely with families who have had a loss and are trying to finalize, the final affairs and, get those assets in order. But prior to my life in law, I was working with families in different capacities. And one of them was doing education on domestic violence and child abuse for families who were dealing with domestic violence and child abuse cases in Broward County. And, one of the things in thinking about this particular case, and I'm going to refer to Nancy as Nancy Metayer only, is that the family is the most impacted out of all of us. And one of the things that I'm noticing out in the public is everyone is running to their commentary, their thoughts. We as social media detectives are analyzing the situation, of course, in retrospect, right? And we're trying to impose our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, our past traumas, if we've experienced abuses and things like that onto this one situation. And, I just caution us to think a little bit before we go that route. But today, I want to focus my commentary on educating our community and thinking about the things that we're doing in our families, in our communities, in our churches, when it comes to addressing potential issues of abuse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I think I like my fellow lady lawyer here is keeping us measured, making sure that we are not jumping to conclusions. Because with this gentleman, who again, the husband of the vice mayor of Coral Springs, has been arrested. He has been charged, and the charges are tampering with evidence as well as premeditated murder. However, we know, both of us, as lawyers and practitioners, that in the court of justice in the United States, everyone is presumed innocent until proven guilty. So we want to take our time as we discuss this case today and just the issues of domestic violence that impact our community. I'm coming from the Jamaican diaspora. My parents are from Jamaica, emigrated to the United States. Sandy's parents coming from the beautiful island, Haiti. And the experience that we have, even in the Caribbean American community, can be very unique. And in the Black community as a whole, this is a very taboo subject. That's why we are utilizing this tragedy as a learning opportunity and not just to, again, make judgments, jump to conclusions, because, again, we don't really know. So, talk about that, Sandy. And when you have worked in domestic violence advocacy, what should we be reminded of when it comes to a case like this where everybody has something to say? Everybody's on social media. Everybody's making assumptions. They look happy. They look sad. They look mean. He looked mean. He looked like he never liked her. He never was for her. He hated her. All of the I've been reading the comments. Trust me, I had to turn off my phone yesterday because I said to myself, I gotta take a break. What are your thoughts on some of what we're seeing in terms of the rhetoric as to what people are saying online?
My thoughts are that, we don't know what goes on in anyone's household at all. We have no clue. We see people out in public. We experience people in public. We experience people for what they show us. And so we don't know what happened in this household. What we do know is what came out. He was arrested. Obviously, there was an indication that he allegedly confessed to shooting his wife. And one of the things that I thought about in this instance was, initially my first thought was, man, was there anything going on in that home? Like, did anybody know? Did anybody have any clues or ideas? And as I've been listening and reading and looking at posts and different things, I'm noticing some commentary. Either family members are indicating that he made some comments and things of that sort. And I start to think about, the statistics of these sorts of situations. Nationally speaking, according to the Florida Department of Children and Families, 1 in 4 women and 1 in 10 men will experience some kind of sexual violence, physical violence, intimate partner type violence in their lifetime. And when you think about 1 in 4, like we have 4 friends, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
1 in 4 are experiencing this. That means that there's some things happening that people may be seeing some signs. And one thing that many family and friends don't want to do is actually address issues when they happen. Many times we're like, oh, go to church, go see your pastor, or, talk to your therapist or things like that. But it's like we may see signs and we ignore them.
Yeah.
People go through rough times and things like that. But what we're potentially talking about is not just rough times. We're talking about potential risk to people's lives. It's two different.
Absolutely. We don't want to make too many assumptions. We are going to go by what the evidence has shown so far. According to NBC6 News, South Florida, Nancy Metayer, we can call her by that name, was allegedly mowed down by her husband. But what we do know, as reported by NBC6 Coral Springs, her husband shot the Coral Springs vice mayor, allegedly wrapped her body in garbage bags, according to reports from police in an article, updated just yesterday at 6:30. The husband of Coral Springs vice mayor allegedly shot her to death and wrapped her body in blankets and garbage bags before confessing the crime to a family, according to an arrest report. The body of Vice Mayor Nancy Metayer was found in her home on the 800 block of Northwest 127th Avenue on Wednesday around 10 a.m. after an investigation into her well being. This is according to Coral Springs Police Chief Brad Mock, as he told reporters that was on Wednesday at a news conference. Police then arrested her husband, 40-year-old Stephen Bowen, in what Mock said was being investigated as a domestic violence incident. Again, we don't have full details, but some of these disturbing new revelations are just heartbreaking. I'm talking to St. Thomas Law professor Miss Sandy Bosran. She's an attorney. She's given us some background as far as domestic violence and how common it is. 1 in 4. Think about that in your lifetime. And again, I know, Sandy, what this shocks me, how it shocked me when I first got the news, is that, you could look at people who are smiling at you every day, who are going to work every day, who look like, what they say, couple goals online, the beautiful pictures, and just never know what's going on behind closed doors. So we don't want to make too many more assumptions. I think a lot of people are so hurt by this, especially in our community. And it showed me, I'm like, South Florida is very small. It seems like everybody I know had some kind of, less than 2 degrees of separation to have her in their lives. And I'm really, really, yeah, I'm really, really sad about this. And I got to remind you that there's a couple of vigils being held in South Florida. There's one I know tonight I'm going to be at in Coral Springs at the Coral Springs City Hall beginning at 7 o'clock. Get there early. She was a FAMU Rattler. She's a graduate of Florida A&M University. She's also a graduate of Johns Hopkins University. She was an environmental scientist before beginning her career in public office. And Cindy, this part of the disturbing facts really bother me because it's being reported that she was allegedly thinking about or planning to announce, like this week, a run for Congress. She was already serving on the city commission for City of Coral Springs, where she served and was appointed twice as vice mayor, first Black, first Haitian American to serve, beginning in 2020. And the thing is that, again, this is so heartbreaking, and we're just distressed, and we're trying to make sense of it, and we're trying to take the lessons of it. If you wanted to go a little bit more into, and I want to offer the domestic violence hotline, there is a national hotline. And if you or someone you know or suspect may be in danger, again, from the very first occurrence, a lot of times I see online people are victim blaming. She should have left. How come she didn't tell anybody, et cetera, et cetera. You don't know what's going on. Your thoughts, Sandy. And I want to offer the number 1-800-799-7233. This is the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233. Having the discussion here with attorney Sandy Boyce-Ron. What are your thoughts, Sandy?
If someone that you know, a friend, a family member, suggests that something is going on in their relationship that causes them fear.
Happy Friday. I'm talking about the vice mayor of Coral Springs in the South Florida area whose life was taken by her husband. We're talking about that today. Sorry, heavy show, but glad you're here. Smooth approach. Thanks for watching.
Is like giving them the number to the hotline, making sure that they are safe, maybe supporting them in, creating a safety plan for themselves and things of that sort. But the challenge that we have here is that we haven't heard a story about there was some ongoing thing, right? The story about he did something to her at some point, or on this date, so-and-so saw them and this is what happened. You know what I mean? So for all we know, for as much as we're in shock at what occurred, she could have been in shock at what.
Absolutely. Very true.
We really don't know. And I think the scary part about this case is while this is domestic violence, this was an act of intimate partner homicide specifically, we are left with so many unanswered questions. And so the most that we can do is try to educate the public on thinking about things that they've experienced in their relationships and things that they've seen others experience. What do you do when you're in a situation where you feel like a friend or family member is being subject to abuse in any way, whether it be verbal or physical or emotional. Do we speak up?
Yeah.
Do address it? Do we tell them to just take it to God or just to pray about it, right? What do we do when we're experiencing situations where we know somebody is experiencing some incidents where it's suggested that domestic violence is occurring? And I think a lot of it is people don't want to speak up about this stuff. Something like this was happening to her on an ongoing basis. Did she feel comfortable saying anything to anyone, being that she is a public figure? She has so many things that she has going for her in her life, and she has so many plans and aspirations. Did she feel comfortable sharing that if this actually was happening to her? But at the same token, what do you do when you have no clue?
Exactly. Yes. Very, very good points.
A one-time thing. And this, in working with mental health cases and working with probate cases, and some of which have had people that died suddenly or had someone who, took their life, there have been instances where somebody had a mental break.
Oh boy.
Tons and tons of cases in Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, across the state of Florida, where someone went to work one day or somebody went to school and they just had a mental break. Could it be that that's what happened here?
That's a very good point. That is a very good point because I've seen and I've read reports. Again, this is a Suzette Speak Show. If you're just tuning in, we're having a heavy and informative discussion with attorney Sandy Boyce-Ron. She is a professor of law at St. Thomas Law School in Miami, Florida, and she is giving us some of her insights. She has worked in the domestic violence arena. She is giving us some insights on this case that has rocked the South Florida community. The loss of life of Nancy Metayer, and how sad, how shocking, how devastating this has been in our community. I can't even express and put into words. She was, again, in full disclosure, a personal friend and colleague of mine in organizing, in community advocacy. We have worked campaigns together, and again, I have been especially heartbroken over the past few days thinking about this. So today's show I'm dedicating to her life, her legacy. We won't just remember how she died, we will remember how she lived. But I do think this is a very teachable moment, as attorney Sandy B has been illuminating us about. And again, we as people, we want answers. We want to draw conclusions. And as Sandy just described, and Sandy, I thank you for bringing that up, that sometimes there is no track record. We are assuming that this was domestic violence. Many, not me, a lot of people, like many. And I do was like, oh my gosh, you know what I even started thinking about? I remember one time I saw her with a little like a suture tape, it just, as I'm laying in my bed, random things are coming in my mind right now. Like, was that something? Was that nothing? Did I ask about that? Did I, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many second guessing, like me, moments of should there have been something that we noticed. But as Sandy has been saying, sometimes you don't see it, and especially in women like Nancy Metayer and others who are very high performing and have a very public position and role. You just don't know. So as Sandy described, there is a possibility that this could be a one-time mental break, which is really scary, but it happens. And I'm just thinking about some of the reports allegedly that are coming out about the story that the husband had told his mother that he had a some sort of breakdown and at his job, and that he was coming home to talk to his wife about it. I've read that being reported allegedly. So there's possibilities that we have to allow for some room again, and not drawing some more too much conclusions. Again, we wanted to offer the domestic violence a hotline number. The National Domestic Violence Hotline number is 800-799 7233. 800-799-7233. We have a few more minutes with Miss Sandy B. We want to thank her again, coming to us from St. Thomas Law in Miami. Do you have any other thoughts as we have a few more minutes with you that you want to offer about the situation with Nancy?
I'm going to offer a few words that I saw a family member post, and it goes in line with what we've been talking about. And it's that, of course, we don't know if this was a single event or part of something more. And so we have to be careful about reducing her life to this incident, right? I see a lot of analysis about, oh, she should have done this and that and the third, and oh, there was an imbalance of power and she had all the power and he didn't have power. And so therefore, I see all of this stuff and I keep thinking to myself, we don't know. We have to be careful not to minimize her to that. But at the same token, we have to address the elephant in the room, which is domestic violence happens more than we think, more than we experience. And maybe this situation might bring to light some things that more and more people will start to be vocal about experiences that they're having. Last night I was on a Zoom call where we were talking about this situation.
Hit the like
And
button,
so
y'all.
many
Thanks for
people were talking
watching.
about their experiences in different capacities and different types of things. So I want to close out with this. Nancy Metayer was a Haitian American millennial. She was a Broward County native, FAMU alum. She was the people's vice mayor. She was climate and reproductive justice organizer and politico. She was a lock-wearing carnival queen. She was a member of the Loud Laughing Crew, proud sister and chair of the Favorite Aunt Committee. A line dance hated to see her coming. She was the baby whisperer and always giving eldest Haitian daughter energy. This was our Nancy. That is some words from one of her cousins who posted on social media. I want us to remember those aspects of her. And I want us to use this lesson at this point to ask ourselves, are there things happening around us that we are not speaking up about? And are there things happening around us that we should have concern over? And I'll leave you with that.
Thank you so much. Very insightful and thoughtful commentary from Ms. Sandy Bushron, again, assistant professor at St. Thomas Law. Thank you for making time for us today, Sandy, and for calling into the Suzette Speak Show. We appreciate your insights, my dear, and we would love to have you back in the future, okay? Thank you, Sandy, again. I appreciate you, and our listeners appreciate you, darling. Thank you. That was Miss Sandy B. We're grateful again to have her and her wonderful legal insights and thoughts on this horrific case. Again, this is something that is very tough to talk about sometimes, and I'm apologetic in a way that, again, on a Fire Friday, I want to bring you, what's going on. We also do have a headline about missing pilot that has been reported in the Iran war, an American pilot over Iran. It seems, as far as reporting goes. We're going to have to take a quick station identification break shortly, but I want to thank again Sandy from St. Thomas for her time and her expertise. Again, appreciate you listening. If you're just joining, this is the Suzette Speak Show. You can catch me right here on Voices of the Caribbean Radio. You know how it goes. So much news, so little time. From 1 to 2 p.m. each and every Thursday and Friday. We're going to have a wonderful presentation. Next week, we have another healthcare forum and discussion that we have planned for next Thursday about new healthcare programs and options, what happened with the big, beautiful bill, etc. So keep it locked right here. Stay tuned. We have to do a quick station ID. More Suzette Speaks right after this.
The all-new Voice of the Caribbean. Better sounding radio.
Thanks, Sandy. I appreciate
The
you,
Voice of the
darling.
Caribbean.
Okay,
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, and YouTube.
Yes, good afternoon. Welcome. The time is now 1:30 p.m. As today's Suzette Speak Show is brought to you by the Rise Women's Conference. Rise. Come on, rise together. We're going to restore, inspire, serve, and empower ladies on Saturday, April 18th. Tickets are still available on Eventbrite. Come and rise. We know there's so much going on in the world, and people need wonderful places where they can exhale and support one another, receive support, give support, and learn from one another's life experiences. Well, that's what we plan to do on Saturday, April 18th at the Rise Women's Conference. I have a ticket I can give away today. If you are a woman, if you're thinking about going to Rise, if you're having some financial difficulty, you might not be able to afford it. We still have the early bird tickets for $35 available. But if you are interested in going to Rise, call me right now at the station, 850-446-0562, 850-446-0562. Get you right in touch. I'm saying hello to all of my peeps watching on the YouTube side. Shout out to Doug. Doug. Shout out to Smooth Approach. I appreciate you guys always keeping it locked in right here on the Suzette Speak Show on Voice of the Caribbean Radio. I'm going to have a couple more guests, guys. At least I'm trying to organize them, texting while I'm doing the show. You know, we're multitasking. I know there are so many in the community that have been impacted by Nancy Metayer Bowen. Other top stories include President Trump fires Pam Bondi as Attorney General. And it has been a shakeup yet again in the Trump administration. I was here live yesterday reporting it as it was happening, but it is making, headline news today. Of course, Pam Bondi has been one of the most staunch allies of President Trump, but to see her go now, be fired, let go via not even a tweet, it was posted on Mr. Trump's platform, and he talked about her wonderful service, et cetera, et cetera. But Pam Bondi is out as Attorney General. We are now also seeing news reports of searches going on right now. That a top story that I want you to know about is there are searches underway after a U.S. fighter jet has been shot down over Iran. There's reports that a pilot or pilots allegedly are missing, at least one. So again, a U.S. fighter jet went down over Iran. Sources are saying a search is underway after a U.S. fighter jet has been shot down over Iran. Now, as I read this story today, and again, we don't have many details. This has been reported just after, I think it was maybe about 11 this morning. Saw this interrupt our news feed here at the studio. And it has been quite concerning because I want to first and foremost understand that we are, at war, so things are going to happen, but people are most concerned with, the possibility of boots on the ground. And we have heard from President Trump, but he did in his, his address to the nation on Wednesday, not use the words boots on the ground. And we are grateful for that. However, with American pilots now missing, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Right now, the time check is now 1:33. This is the Suzette Speak Show. Today's time check is brought to you by Rise Women's Conference. Together we rise. This is a faith-based conference. Saturday, April 18th. Tickets are available for only $35. Early bird is still available through Monday. Giving away one ticket to a lucky woman. If you are having some financial difficulties, we know that the economy has been crazy. And if you are not in a position to pay for your ticket, we're going to give you a ticket today. 850-446-0562. We're also going to keep talking about our main headline, which is the tragedy that unfolded in Coral Springs. We are going to remember the life. I'm going to say talk about it, but just remember the life. Remember the goodness. Remember the positive leadership, the selfless leadership that was offered to our community by the late Miss, I can't even say it, Nancy Metayer. She's a light that has been taken far too soon. We have another caller. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Test 2. You're on the air, caller. Good afternoon. Going once, caller. Good afternoon. Going twice. Caller, call me back. I see a caller. If you are calling 850-446-0562, maybe sometimes when you pick up and a person is on hold. It happens sometimes when a person is on hold. Caller, call me back. Come on, caller. Come on, caller. All right, caller, call me back. If you're calling now at the station's number, 850-446-0562. I picked you up. I think you might have been on hold. So call me back so we can talk if you were trying to win that ticket, or if you want to talk about the passing of Nancy Metayer Bowen. This is your time. You can call us at 850-446-0562. There will be a vigil tonight. There are going to be vigils throughout South Florida as Nancy Metayer has had such an impact in her 38 short years. She was elected to the Coral Springs Commission as the first Black and first Haitian American woman to ever serve in Coral Springs. She has served her community in such a positive way, with what I would call selfless advocacy. Let me see if I can get the caller on. Caller, call me. Caller, that's all right. Call me. We're going to go over some of the more chilling details. It's not, I don't take pleasure in going over a story that has this type of really dark cloud over it, but it's important that we speak truth and honor her legacy. There is a vigil that will be held tonight in her home city, city of Coral Springs. And we are going to tell you more about it. Caller, you are live. Good afternoon. How you doing? Hello. Good afternoon. You're on the air. Hello. Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
After this evening, I'm going to Coral Springs to do a viewing of one of my friends from Jamaica who took his life, actually.
Oh, no.
It happened in Port St. Lucie like 2 weeks ago. And, it's so sad that people don't even need to talk.
Oh, my gosh. Carla, I lost you. Call back, Carla. Sorry about that. Carla, I lost you. I apologize for that. Carla, call back, please. I was just getting the information from you, and I wanted to hear about your friend in Coral Springs. Thank you so much for calling, and I am apologetic for us becoming disconnected. Here he is. Caller, I'm sorry about that. Can you hear me? Caller, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? You're on the air. Good afternoon. Wow, the phones don't want me to be great today. This is a Suzette Speaks show. We are live here, Wagwan, Miami. Big up everybody from Hialeah, North Miami. What's up, ghouls? We see you, Key Largo, checking in. Thank you so much for listening. Lauderhill, Sunrise, Plantation, how we doing? And all the way out in Miramar, we see you, North Miami. Miami Gardens in the building, Hollywood in the building. We're going to have some overcast weather, 82 degrees currently. Not a lot of rain, thankfully, for the weekend. So we can enjoy this beautiful weekend here in Miami, 82, Fort Lauderdale, 82, Key West, 83. But we have been windy. Have you noticed that? 26-mile-per-hour gusts. Yes, all throughout the weekend. It will be a high wind. And we are appreciative again for everybody listening. I'm going to try to get our caller on. Caller, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Good afternoon. You're live. Going once. Caller, you're live. If you're on, can you speak with me now? I can hear you. You turned all the way up. Good afternoon, caller. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Well, I'm going to continue to read. Not sure what's going on with the phones, but I will continue to read some of the details around the passing of Nancy and what the arrest report is now saying. According to NBC News South Florida, woo-wee, Nancy Metayer lost her life, allegedly due to her husband. So according to this report, the husband of Coral Springs vice mayor allegedly shot her to death and wrapped her body in blankets and garbage bags before confessing the crime to a family member, according to the arrest report. The body of Vice Mayor Nancy Metayer was found at her home in the 800 block of Northwest 127th Avenue around 10 a.m. on Wednesday. After an investigation into her well-being, Coral Springs Police Chief Brad Mock told reporters at a news conference earlier this week. Police arrested her husband, 40-year-old Stephen Bowen, in what Mock said was being investigated as an incident of domestic violence. We've talked with an attorney just now. If you're just tuning in, we had a wonderful guest during the first half talking about domestic violence. An arrest report reveals the chilling details. City officials were first alerted, and they were the first to alert the police after Metayer did not show up to a scheduled meeting, right? So she's normally on time. She's normally there first and foremost. The last text sent from her phone was to a local official about discussion items sent at 8 a.m. When they tried to text her husband, he replied, "She is not picking up." So after allegedly taking her life, he was responding to other city officials who were asking, "Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?" And he replied to them, "She's not picking up." Later, the arrest report states that he texted, "Where is she? Her car is not at home." Wow. Wow. Police responded to the home the couple shared in Coral Springs, but they were unable to get in touch with Stephen Bowen. That's the husband. His parents also responded to the house at around 11:23 a.m. Police said because the vice mayor's mother had asked them to check on her. Outside of the home, authorities noticed explosive-like damage, quote unquote, explosive-like damage to the second floor that had appeared to come from inside, consistent with damage caused by, quote unquote, projectiles. Stephen Bowen's reported confession and effort to hand off the weapon. This is what's being reported. The husband of the late Vice Mayor Nancy Metayer, this was how it unfolded, y'all. At 1:15 p.m., police say they received a 911 call from Bowen's uncle, who said his nephew had come to his house at around 10 a.m. and told him, quote, that he had done something to her and that she was not alive. The uncle said Bowen had asked him to, quote, hold something for a couple of weeks, but warned him that he would need a pair of gloves or a bag. Now, think about that. This is prior to the heinous act. He had asked his uncle to hold his firearm. So Bowen then clarified that it was the shotgun. When the uncle had asked if he had shot someone, Bowen allegedly replied that he had shot his wife. My Lord. Quote, Stephen Bowen explained, this is according to reports from NBC6 South Florida, Stephen Bowen explained that he had shot her 3 times with a shotgun the previous night and then slept downstairs. He went on to say that Nancy Metayer was rolled up in a comforter with a garbage bag around her feet, the arrest report describes. When asked why, Stephen Bowen, that's the husband now, that's in custody, that is charged with tampering with evidence and now premeditated taking of a life. When asked why, Stephen Bowen said that he, quote, couldn't take it anymore. Now, we don't know what he was referring to. We don't know what it was that he was saying. Caller, are you on the line, Carla? Good afternoon, Carla. Good afternoon, caller. Hang up and call back, Carla. I see. What? If one line's want test me today, hang up, caller, and call back. Wireless caller, I cannot hear you. If you're talking to me, are you muted? Well, call back, Carla, please, and thank you. Because I'm not sure if I had such a good caller before, the gentleman that was talking about his friend who was taking his life. Mental health is real, y'all. Mental health is real. And you are responsible. You can be under stress, but you have to realize I am really stressed out. I have to talk to somebody, whether it's your pastor. Some people talk to their friend. I happen to talk to a therapist. I had a wonderful, thank you God, girls' night out yesterday because we needed an exhale. All of us were so devastated by this news. I was like, instead of talking to each person one at a time, let me just talk to everybody. Y'all want to meet up? Let's meet up. Sharing our story, sharing our grief, because it's secondhand trauma. We ourselves weren't directly impacted by her passing, but it is impacting us nonetheless. The first night, I couldn't sleep. This is a Suzette Speak Show, a special edition dedicated to Miss Nancy Metayer, the immigrant who, just broke down barriers. Graduate of Florida A&M tonight. If you're going to the vigil there's one in Tamarack and there's one in Coral Springs as well. I'm going to the one in Coral Springs. That's at the City Hall. starting at 7. I think it goes to 8:30. Bring a white candle. She was a FAMU alum. They're asking you to wear orange or green. Those are the colors of Florida A&M University. So she, again, being such an impactful leader, her alumni association I did see online. They're giving tributes. So many. Her passing has gone international. I saw it on large, news platforms from TMZ. I saw it reposted by attorney Ben Crump and others. It has really touched so many. And it is a devastating loss to us right here in the South Florida community. So again, we don't want to just remember how she passed. I'm reading some of the gory details. I'm sorry, y'all. But sometimes you have to get into the mind of the evil. And it is something that you don't want, to hope that anybody gets to this point. As attorney Sandy B pointed out during the first half of the show, sometimes people just go through a mental break, like have a mental total disconnection from reality, like a mental break, lack of sleep, prolonged lack of sleep, prolonged high stress, prolonged removal of medication. If someone was on medication, we do not know if Stephen Bowen was on medication. Again, not being speculative, just saying in general. We don't know his full mental state. Did you also know, since we are talking about a Haitian American woman to serve in public office in the city of Coral Springs, apparently there are reports now that new troops are arriving in Haiti to fight gangs. Interesting. Watch this timing, y'all. As according to the CNN headline news, reports of new troops arriving in Haiti. We know that this weekend is also Holy Week. It's really a big tradition. Some of you guys may not be listening today because you might be in High Holy Service for the observance of Good Friday. I know Good Friday is supposed to be sad, the day that Christians observe the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. But it's a high holy day for many of us, those in the Catholic tradition, other Christian traditions, celebrating Good Friday today. I know some people go to midday services. I know a lot of my aunts are there, celebrating and reflecting on the final hours of the life of Jesus Christ before he was crucified. And of course, Sunday is the big day, Easter, celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ. He is risen. And again, on a high holy holiday for many of our listeners, and those, a lot of schools are closed and things like this. This is just an important time that we reflect and try to get the lesson from what we're listening to. It's not just about the sensationalism and the details, disturbing details we get in. Every moment I read about the passing of Nancy Metayer, I'm more and more disturbed. I don't know what to say sometimes. And I'm like, God, she didn't deserve this. This woman was just the brightest light, sweetest spirit, purest soul. Me no know her soul, but me know her. And I know the woman that I encountered. It's very hard to keep that mask up. The woman that I encountered, especially in her role as vice mayor, as a community advocate, community leader, community servant. It just pains me when I think more and more about how a woman went to sleep and she maybe didn't know that her own husband would come upon her with such a terrifying motive. We don't know the motive, God forgive me. And again, remember, the views expressed on the Suzette Speak Show are those of the host, guests, and callers. It does not reflect the opinion of station ownership or management. And your listenership is advised accordingly. Let's finish out this, Nancy. I had a couple more callers scheduled. A party leader from the Broward County Democrats, and I had another lady, beautiful Haitian American politician and minister. I wanted her opinion. Ladies, we can reschedule. If that was you trying to call in, are you there? Who is this? Naomi? Oh, I'm so happy. How are you? Happy Good Friday. I'm so sorry about the phones not being my friend today, but I'm glad to hear your voice and thank you for joining us here on the Suzette Speak Show on Voice of the Caribbean Radio. Miss Naomi, I wanted you to first start with, this is a very heavy story, and just talk about your general reflections on the passing of Nancy Metayer.
Well, again, it is an honor, Suzette. Thank you so very much for the invitation, and to all of your listeners. Good afternoon and happy Good Friday. My name is Dr. Naomi Esther Blamire. I'm a civic leader, advocate, and co-founder of Balancing Life, a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping individuals balance their education, their finances, their spirituality, and emotional well-being. And, obviously, this is a big topic for today. I want to first and foremost say my sincere condolences to the entire Metayer family, the residents of Coral Springs, the Haitian community, and all those who are mourning the loss of Vice Mayor Nancy Metayer Bowen. My deepest condolences. Vice Mayor Metayer Bowen was a Haitian American millennial, a scientist, an environmentalist, a brilliant mind, and a woman with a promising future. Today, we honor her life, we honor her service, and the impact she made. I know for many of us, including myself, we've gone through several different phases of emotions. There was the anger, there's the pain. What happened is truly heartbreaking and deeply disturbing. But as a minister in this moment, I truly believe it's critical that we channel our grief in a way that honors her legacy, that brings healing and some type of restoration as we move forward and deal with women's issues, what women are going through on a daily basis, how we can show up for them, how they can confide in us, how we can be a support system. And I'm so happy that you've dedicated this time on your platform to do that today.
Thank you for those encouraging words. Yes, there's so many aspects of this story that we are yet to discover. Of course, we want to celebrate the life and not just the tragic way that she has left this earth, but more so the beauty of her love for people, her desire to serve, her desire not only to sit on the sideline, but to protect those that she cared about in her community. We know that she was passionate about environmental science and protecting the environment. She went to bat for women and all kinds of women's issues, and she was just a passionate person in service leader. And I just I'm heartbroken. And I know as a woman of faith there are people like me who are like, God, why we want justice right now. And it's like she doesn't deserve it. Of course, many who have been following her or maybe don't know her story also includes the loss of her brother a few months back, a young man, Mr. Donovan, who took his life. So we have a family that has faced back-to-back tragedy. He was a Parkland survivor who unfortunately is no longer with us, and now Nancy. So imagine her mom, imagine her parents, imagine her family having such close tragedy. What can we say? I know, Pastor, you may not have all the answers, but on a Good Friday like this, people are looking for guidance and how we can stay focused on the positive and showing up for the family and for the community any way we can. What words of advice would you give those who are maybe feeling, despondent on this Good Friday? How can they respond, in their own way?
Absolutely. So there's 3 points I want to leave with you. Number one, God does not condone abuse ever. Abuse is not love, and it is not God's will. Scripture calls for love, honor, and protection, not control, Suzette, not fear or harm.
Absolutely.
No one should be told to stay and suffer in silence. We can look to Ephesians 5:25, where it says, "Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church." And so, as a believer, as a woman of faith, as a minister, we need to ensure that people understand that abuse is a violation of God's design for relationship. Period. Period.
Yes.
Why does he allow it to happen? That's a whole nother conversation, but we need to be clear on the fact that it is not God's design for relationship. Number two, the church must be a safe place, should be a safe place, but not a silent place.
That's right. That's right.
So that you pray things away and, God's going to take care of it. No, you pray and you act accordingly. You act in wisdom. You act in guidance. You have a community that says, okay, based on what you've shared, this is the prescription for your life, right? When you say prescription, the doctor gives you something specifically based on your symptoms. So there has to be a space where we talk about these things and we speak about domestic violence openly and not ignore it. We need to create environments where victims feel safe and they come forward, right? And we offer support, we offer resources, we offer protection and not judgment. Psalms 34:18 says that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted. So there is no space in the church to allow women to be abused, misused, or in any way, shape, or form be disregarded in a marriage, right? And we want to be very clear on that, that the church should be a place where we can speak up, we can articulate what's going on, and that there are resources, right, available to actually assist, and again, in certain cases, provide a specific prescription for that person because it is not safe for them and it's time for them to leave, if that may be the case.
Good word. You have 1 minute. Go ahead.
The last thing I want to share is accountability and healing, and we must all allow ourselves to go through that, right? Abusers must be held accountable spiritually, legally, and morally. Repentance is not just words, it requires change, counseling, and consequences. And last but not least, victims deserve healing, restoration, and dignity, which aligns with Micah 6:8, which says, act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly before the Lord. So justice and healing are both a part of God's heart and our plan for our everyday life.
Oh, what a word on this Good Friday. Thank you, my friend and colleague, Miss Naomi Blemire, first generation Haitian American minister, community leader, author, wife, mother, and again, a wonderful messenger for us today. Thank you for calling in today on the Suze SB Show, and we hope to have you back. We appreciate your insights. Thank you, Naomi. Wow, that is a perfect note to. God bless you too, sis, and that's a perfect note to end today's show. I appreciate everybody who called and who listened and who are, in the trenches with us. We're going to feel all the emotions. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be sad. It's okay, to go through the range of human emotions as it pertains to this very devastating case. But just like Naomi said, that this is not something that we should condone. This is people that we should, advocate for. If you are someone are in a relationship that has involved domestic violence, the hotline before we go is 800-799-7233. That's all our time for today. Thank you for listening. Up next is Miss Lisa B. Thank you. Keep it locked right here on Voice of the Caribbean Radio.
5 BC, Lauderdale Lakes, 96.9 FM, the all-new voice of the Caribbean.
This is the all-new voice of the Caribbean. Better sounding radio. WLYF HD2 Miami, 101.5 HD2.
Sorry, heavy show. I was going to tell her, I was looking to answer the phone real quick and tell her thank you, but we got to go. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for listening. Hit the like button. I know this is a heavy conversation. This is a lady that mattered to me, and I just wanted to make sure I give her the recognition that she deserves. Love y'all. Thanks for watching. Bye. Have a good weekend.